The biggest conspiracy theory that Pakistanis believe in is that Pakistan is a special country made for Islam, and therefore non-Muslims, primarily Hindus in India, are conspiring to finish Pakistan off. When facts are manipulated, you actually create an environment in which conspiracy theories flourish. It started in Pakistan right after Pakistan's creation. Mr. Jinnah's 11th August 1947 speech was suppressed. People in the government said, let's not publicize this. That what happened was that a baby was ostensibly eaten by rats in Peshawar. Once that news story appeared, people started thinking that maybe this was a special type of man-eating rat or human-eating rat. And then the conspiracy theory went out of control, and it was assumed that these rats had been specially bred by the CIA to punish Pakistanis. The same happened in the 2010 floods, when in fact, a Pakistani general retired general went on television to say that the Americans have the technology to create floods in other countries. Totally absurd, totally fabricated. And the number of people who still believe that 9/11 or 26/11 were all basically conspiracies, it does not enable the nation. Well, for one thing, I have challenged it. So, okay, I might be in exile, but my ideas are not totally aloof from the average Pakistani. When you have 95% of the population born after partition, they do not have any personal memory. For them, it is all transmitted memory, what they have been taught. And in some ways, by writing this book, I'm trying to teach them different facts. Once people know that facts are different, they can think differently. It was basically politics between two political parties, the Indian National Congress and the All India Muslim League. Then that led to the demand for Pakistan. Then out of the demand of Pakistan came partition. None of it was thought through. For example, Mr. Jinnah never wrote a book. He kept a lot of ambiguity alive till the last moment. Pakistan was created in a hurry, and a lot of things were improvised. It's not like the ideology of Pakistan created Pakistan. The ideology of Pakistan, as it is described today, was created after the creation of Pakistan. Pakistan, for example, got independence along with India on the 15th of August 1947 by the Act of British Parliament. Pakistan celebrated its first Independence Day in 1948 on the 15th of August. There are postage stamps from that period. There's all kinds of records. But then somebody said, well, if we are going to have Independence Day on the same date, that means we are not very different, are we? We are not separate. So therefore, let's start celebrating it on 14th August, which is the day that Mr. Mountbatten came and swore in the oath of office to Mr. Jinnah as Governor General of Pakistan, effective midnight of 15th of August. Pakistan inherited 33% of British India's army, even though it got only 19% of the population and 17% of the revenue sources. So there was a disproportion there. The military had the northern command of the British Indian Army was located in Rawalpindi. So that headquarters became general headquarters. So they already had an infrastructure that was functioning. So the military was the only institution that had indigenous roots and had a command and control structure that was already in place. And that rose to power very soon. And once they had taken over, they started wanting to make the nation march in threes. And in Pakistan, where the military has tried coups and then now has perfected the non-coup coup, meaning not taking over power but still trying to influence the policy, that basically is a recipe for permanent instability. I think that the China-Pakistan relationship is based on a very narrow paradigm of containing India. The only reason why China takes an interest in Pakistan is because it sees it as a secondary deterrent against India. Friendship with China is of value, but it would be of value only when Pakistan also has normal relations with others, including India. But it will not ignite the economic activity that Pakistan needs to give jobs to its millions of young people. Pakistan's median age is just 21, so half of the population of 200 million is below the age of 21. Those young people need jobs, they need education. That's not going to come from missile technology transfer between China and Pakistan. We can't be permanent enemies because we are neighbors, and neighbors who see each other as permanent enemies always end up in a situation that is not necessarily the best for both. If a diplomat is driving down a street somewhere in India or in Pakistan, how are people to know he's a diplomat? And the average person doesn't know a diplomatic license plate identifying a country. It has to be the state apparatus that identifies it. There was a time when Indian diplomats actually traveled around the country pretty freely. Then restrictions came. Now we have an absurd situation where although there are several million people in Pakistan with family in India, the visa for India is almost like a lottery ticket. So these are what I call cultivated and transmitted hatreds and angers. The Indians have changed their attitude towards Pakistan significantly, especially after the rise of terrorism inside India. And even during the focused terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir, there were a lot of voices in India about friendship with Pakistan and normal relations. That changed after the Mumbai attacks. I fully understand how Indians have started reacting more and more. Unfortunately, this becomes a spiral of hatred. One side acts, the other side reacts, then the other side reacts to the reaction, and then you just have what Mahatma Gandhi used to say about an eye for an eye, making the whole world blind. I understand how Pakistanis are frustrated, especially in this day and age, when Pakistan is generally being criticized everywhere. Anybody who's criticized all the time gets frustrated and defensive. And when you have a propaganda state in which the people of the country themselves are fed propaganda 24/7, then people really start believing that everybody is against us because they are against us, not because something that's happening here is wrong. The Indians keep talking about Dawood Ibrahim and Hafiz Saeed and Lashkar-e-Taiba, and the Pakistanis are being fed information that is totally contrary to what the rest of the world is being told. That creates a defensiveness. Now, even educated Pakistanis have started using the term Pakistan bashing, a desire to try and have a positive image without changing the on-ground reality is unrealistic.
If you love the Quint and want to keep seeing more of us on Facebook, click on follow, then see first, and you'll never miss us on your timeline.